we understand what it's about.
Every time I touch the ball, I'm thinking I'm going to score.
And this is our chance to write our part of the story.
The wheels, ball, goes, touchdowns!
Like he looks like he wants to take someone's head off.
Oh, picked up! Into the mix! Dante McClellan!
The Tigers and Ahmad Hardy are ready to take his 300 yards, throw it in the covered wagon, and head out west to OU for the first time since 2011. Welcome inside the Tiger Kickoff Show. Jacob Siciliano, Quentin Corpuel, Zach Sweet, Tyson Ellison.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the set again,
Welcome
filling
to
in
the panel, Tyson.
for Chase James today. Guys, big game out in Oklahoma. They're on the cusp of a playoff berth. Mizzou have a chance to be the boomer on the Sooners. Quinn, your initial reactions?
Yeah, Mizzou and Oklahoma have played some very consequential games over the years. In 2010, if you remember correctly, Mizzou knocked Oklahoma off of that #1 spot in the BCS rankings. 3 years before that, Oklahoma was the reason that Mizzou did not play in the BCS National Championship game. Now, Oklahoma can be knocked out of the college football playoff if they do lose to Mizzou, and if the other way around happens, Oklahoma can put the final nail in Mizzou's college football playoff.
As if that nail hasn't been hammered in already. But it's been 59 years since Missouri has gone on the road and won in Norman, which is an incredible stat. An even more incredible stat, Eli Drinkwitz now is 15-0 against unranked opponents in the last 2 years. He's 0-6 against ranked opponents. You know where Oklahoma is in here? Number 8 in the country, Oklahoma. Here's another chance to get a signature win if you're Missouri, if you're Eli Drinkwitz. Should be a fun one.
Should be a fun one, absolutely. And, you know, you guys are talking a lot about what these teams can do in this game. I don't think either of these teams are going to be able to do much of anything the way that both of these defenses look. I think it's going to be a gritty football game. It's going to be physical. And with all of the stakes on the line, we're going to see the best effort out of both teams, and that's on their defense.
Quentin, you mentioned some of the great matchups they've had in years past. Last year was one of those matchups. And just let's take a little second to saturate that victory against OU.
Had to be helped to his feet. Sooners have a pair of timeouts remaining. Missouri drops 8. Arnold hit. Ball's loose. And it is scooped up by the Tigers. Zion Young with the scoop. Big score. Madness in Columbia. It just keeps going with 30 seconds left.
Zion Young with the scoop and score. Tyson, you were there. Take us through that moment.
Oh, man, I mean, you saw it right there. The emotions were as high as ever. And you got to remember, in the sideline, we had just seen Jamal Roberts fumble very recently when this play happened. So we were able to score. Theo Weiss in the back of the end zone. We're thinking, okay, all we got to do is hold them and force this game to go into overtime. We ended up not getting there. One of the greatest moments I've ever seen live, and I was blessed enough to have that Mizzou across my chest when it happened. So I was part of the team.
Well, it was a great victory for the Tigers in Columbia, but in Norman, Missouri has not had as much success. Zach Sweet, you touched on this earlier. Missouri has not won in Norman since 1966, and there have been a slew of things that have been invented since that year. Just for a few on your screen, for example, the ATM was not around the last time Missouri beat Oklahoma in Norman. The personal computer, the thing we made to have this very show you're looking at right now, compact discs and DVDs, artificial hearts, so yeah, your pacemakers, everything in there to keep you alive, space shuttles, Truman the Tiger did not exist the last time Missouri won in Norman. And there you go. If you love your Priuses, hybrid cars did not exist as well, keeping that environment safe. Here's what Drinkwitz has to say on the significance of winning out in Norman.
Their quarterback, their offensive identity with their offensive coordinator, is certainly something that's going to be extremely challenging. You know, it's been 59 years since the University of Missouri went on the road to Norman, Oklahoma and won a game. So, you know, that's something that's going to be a challenging in and of itself. Our team has a lot of things to work on this week, and ultimately it's about how we handle the noise, the environment, taking care of the football, and being able to defend their quarterback that will determine our success.
59 years is a long time, Quentin. Why have the Tigers not won in Norman since?
Well, Oklahoma has been a lot better than not just Mizzou, but a lot of other teams in that time frame. You look back, I think Mizzou was really good before World War I against Oklahoma. But then after World War I, it really hasn't been very good for Mizzou in this matchup history. They've only won a handful of times. And so last year, and then I already mentioned 2010, those were outliers. Oklahoma's really dominated this series.
Guess the trench warfare helped OU in the trenches a little bit.
Maybe, yeah.
Oklahoma has dominated this series, and this goes back to the Big 12 days. I mean, Gaylord Stadium, it's not an easy place to play. 83,000 fans. It's going to be a ruckus atmosphere on Saturday, and I'm interested to see how Missouri comes out. Their last road game was that Vanderbilt game where we saw Bo Pribula go down, of course. I'm sure we'll get into whether or not we think Pribula is going to start with him being listed as doubtful on the injury report, but just in general, going to that place and playing at Oklahoma, it's just never an easy task, and they always have a good team. They're always ready to play, and their defense is fierce.
This is a rivalry that's spanned multiple conferences, and there has been some time in between the last time we played them, a home and away. I think that now that they're an annual opponent, you're going to see a lot more of this game, and the animosity between the fan bases is still at an all-time high. I don't think that's suffered at all from the distance between these games. I'm just excited to see what Twitter looks like between now and the game.
I'm
as well.
actually not. I'm really not. That is one of my least favorite places to exist, is when Mizzou and Oklahoma fans are going back and forth with one another.
It's definitely a time.
Yeah, you guys remember that Caden Green thing on Twitter between the fan bases? I mean, that was crazy, just to name one instance in the last 3 years, 2 years.
Yeah.
Well, despite Twitter, y'all have mentioned how difficult it has been for the Tigers to win in Norman, but this year's Oklahoma team is special, number 8 in the country, and they've picked up some big wins, including last week.
Unless they somehow don't execute this, and this is going to win. So you got 9. Of course, you can use one timeout there, but that's going to do it. Yeah. And Oklahoma, not perfect, but gritty, and the Sooners stay alive. Get to 7-2, 3-2 in the SEC, and a damaging, probably fatal loss for Tennessee's playoff hopes. Will they bring that pressure? Yes, they do. Heineke trying to blitz. Simpson throws! Broken up! Peyton Bowen! What a day for the Bowen brothers and the Oklahoma defense! And Oklahoma better than 50% chance of being in the college football playoff if they can take care of business at home against two talented teams in Missouri and LSU. Both of whom were ranked earlier in the season. Line is a beast. Kalen DeBoer suffers his first home loss.
Number 4, Alabama, going down to OU. You saw the win against Tennessee as well. What makes this Oklahoma team so strong?
Well, I think an easy starting point is their defense. They have one of the best units in the country. Their defensive line especially is really, really good. They are one of 3 teams in the entirety of the FBS, with 4 defensive linemen at least 20 pressures, according to PFF, along with Texas Tech and Louisville. Both of those defensive lines have been awesome too. They have 12 players with at least 4 tackles for loss, which is ridiculous. That is a really, really high number. They win without blitzing because their defensive line is so dominant. Their linebackers are excellent stuffing runs, and just they're a very complete unit overall.
Anything from that game against Alabama stick out to you that really showed you who OU is?
Yeah, Alabama, who didn't really turn the ball over that much, turned the ball over 3 times against Oklahoma, including a pick 6. Ty Simpson has been really good at taking care of the ball for most of the season. They flustered him a lot in that game last week, which really impressed me.
I mean, I hate to sound like a broken record here, but Oklahoma's defense is the unit that is providing this team with a spark, and that's giving them wins ultimately. We saw them create that turnover and go the distance last week. They put points on the board. They've turned over, so they've gone on the road the last 2 weeks against Tennessee and Alabama, 2 signature road wins that they picked up. They forced 6 turnovers in those 2 games. That's ridiculous. And their defensive front, their run defense, 4th in the country, giving up 82.2 yards per game. And that's going to be something I'm sure we'll talk about in the next couple of minutes here with Mizzou's running game and how it's going to look against this stout Oklahoma run defense.
I think you hit the nail right on the head. When you look at beating some of the premier opponents in the SEC, you have to steal possessions away. This defense has done a great job so far getting possessions back for the Oklahoma offense, especially when the defense is the strength of your team. Setting up your offense with good field position through the turnover battle is very important. I think also they execute very well in special teams. Only have missed 1 field goal so far in the season, hit 3 50-plus yard field goals in that game against Tennessee. I mean, when you're in those close games against the best of the best, that's what's going to set you apart.
What about this Oklahoma run defense, what we've seen so far from them?
Yeah, they have allowed exactly 1 100-yard rusher the entire season. And that was all the way back when Michigan came to town. Justice Haynes had 125. Even so, 75 of those yards came on 1 run. That was the first play to open the second half. They have not allowed 150 yards in a game against another team. They have also not allowed 5 yards per carry, which is pretty good.
Yeah, and they still won that game. And they're returning arguably their best defensive player, R. Mason Thomas. He's coming back on Saturday, so it's gonna be a treat.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to play against this team. I mean, how consistently that they stuff the run. I believe top 4 in the country at run defense. And that means that they're limiting explosive runs as well. They gave up the 75-yarder. But when you look at how they've played the run defense is its body blows until you can get that one explosive to spring. And they do a great job rallying to the football. This team plays with the aggressiveness of Brent Venables. Like, you can see it on tape, the way they all rally to the ball. Like, they play feisty. It is hard to run through this defense.
They do a lot of things well for sure, and that's why they're listed to have a 50% chance to make the college football playoff. ESPN has them at 53.2%. That drops to just 16% if they take a loss in their final 2 games to either Missouri or LSU. Both those stats coming from ESPN. If you want to know Missouri's chance to make the playoff odds, it's at just 0.4. But here's what OU's coach had to say about those final 2 games and the rivalry with Missouri.
They're going to be on our schedule every year for the foreseeable future. So, and all those other things to me, they mean nothing to me. They probably mean something to somebody else, but I don't get into all that. You don't hear me spouting back at whatever's out there. You know, it doesn't. I just laugh at it. It's okay. You know what I mean? I don't mind it whether it's good or bad. It's at me or it's at us or it's at someone else. It's just not my style.
So, you know, for certain, Venables is staying off of Twitter because that's where a lot of you see that back and forth going. But Missouri with a huge opportunity to play spoiler with, if he wants to admit it or not, one of their biggest rivals historically.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what makes a rivalry, at least part of it, is the 2 teams being evenly matched. That hasn't really been the case over the years. I think Oklahoma's like 67-25 and something against Mizzou, but the fan bases really don't like each other. These games have produced some really awesome, like lifelong memories like we saw last year. And so I'm not entirely sure whether it fits the proper definition for a rivalry just because it has been super lopsided, but there is definitely animosity on both sides, and I think that's always really fun in college athletics.
I mean, if you would have told Oklahoma's fan base 2 weeks ago that they'd be in this position right here with 2 home games against Missouri and LSU to go to the college football playoff, I mean, they wouldn't have believed you. They would not have believed you. They had to go on the road and pick up with 4 games left. They're going on the road at Tennessee, at Bama, and then you're at home against Missouri and LSU, and you can think about those later. But they went in and they took care of business in those games, and they set themselves up with an opportunity. Missouri here, sitting with 3 losses, hasn't beat a ranked team. I mean, they have every opportunity in the world to come in here and play spoiler right now with nothing to lose, really, honestly. And it's the most dangerous team in a football game, is a team with nothing to lose.
And it may not mean anything to the Oklahoma head coach, but I can promise you it means everything to the Missouri faithful to be able to play spoiler and knock Oklahoma out. As you mentioned, Oklahoma's dominated this series up to this point, but to be able to knock them out of the playoffs, especially with the animosity between the 2 fan bases, like, I don't think that the records in this game matter as much as the opportunity to go ahead and take down Oklahoma in this football game.
Rapid fire, what are a few or 1 or 2 things that Missouri needs to do in order to win this game? What needs to fall for Missouri to win?
Stay ahead of schedule on offense and force at least 1 turnover on defense.
Establish the run against a really good rushing defense.
Limit turnovers and create explosives on offense.
Well, we talked about the keys, and we talked about this staggering defensive unit that Oklahoma has in the running game, and our guy right here, Mr. Tyson Ellison.
That's
it. You know, Tyson, why don't you take the honors?
Kick it to yourself.
We've told you this is a top 4 run defense. Guess what? They're a great defense in every other aspect. Our guy, Tyson Ellison, is going to show you why in Sideline Study Hall. Oklahoma's head coach Brent Venables is looking ahead towards a possible playoff season. To get there, he's got to capture the 2 Tigers that are coming to the Oklahoma home field. Missouri visits this week, LSU next week. 2 wins equals a playoff berth. They cannot allow the Tigers to have any space to breathe while they're here. Big on big situation against Tennessee. 5 defensive linemen, 5 offensive linemen. It doesn't matter the matchup if you win your one-on-ones. Top of the screen here, this edge defender doesn't even get blocked. And that's why the quarterback doesn't have time, doesn't even look to that side of the field. Ball gets knocked loose, and that's a fumble returned for a touchdown. If you're Missouri, you can think about Matt Zollers in this situation. The Tigers want to take these turnovers off the tape. To do that, you have to protect your freshman quarterback, and you have to be able to protect against these schemes. 6 players at the line of scrimmage here against Alabama. At the snap, 2 are going to drop out. 1 defender comes in and blitzes. So now it's only a 5-man pressure against 5 offensive linemen and the running back, but the communication is destroyed. And again, a great jump chop move by Taylor Wine, defensive lineman of the week, with the sack fumble here against Ty Simpson. Oklahoma able to steal this football. They did that all game against Alabama, and that's how they win their games, is by winning the turnover margin. Check out this punt return rep here. Ryan Williams trying to make something shake, make a couple of people miss, and instead, peanut punch right here. That's a deliberate and dedicated strike at the football. You practice this during your individual periods on defense. This is a great play here by Oklahoma, stealing a possession away. And again, that's how they won this football game against one of the best teams in the country. With Matt Zollers coming to town, Missouri wants to establish a rhythm and give their quarterback some confidence. But that's hard to do against a defense that does not allow yards after the catch. On this rep here, 1st down and 10, safety valve pass, and the defender is all the way off the screen when this football is caught. What ends up happening? Well, like a bullet train coming down the field, an excellent play there by the defense, again, not allowing any room to breathe once the play is made. Offensively, John Mateer's a great quarterback, has been. People worry about after the hand injury how he's been playing. He's still got the timing and the artillery to make those plays down the field when he needs them. The most impressive trait to me that he has is his communication with his receivers down the field. Watch him now steering down this route. It's like telepathic communication, how he's going to motion to his right, receiver's going to follow him. That's a playmaker play in Madden, and it ends up as a sideline touchdown play, an explosive against Ole Miss. That's John Mateer at his best. At his worst, he'll hold on to this football too long here. 3rd down and 15, got to get the football out. Instead, steps up in the pocket, really doesn't have anywhere to go, and he'll take the sack. Ole Miss ended up playing John Mateer very well in that football game. Texas with a definitely statement win here against Oklahoma, and they did that by forcing these turnovers. 3rd down and 2, still time on the clock to kick a field goal. Instead, a deep shot down the field ends up as an interception for Texas. They took the ball away multiple times. Again, that turnover ratio, very important. What else is important for Oklahoma? This unit right here. Special teams, the field goal unit. This is their longest attempt at 55 yards, but the field goal kicker is 21 for 22 on the season. He just doesn't miss no matter the distance. He's had success all year. So for Missouri to have success, they have to keep Oklahoma out from 40 and in. If you can keep them driving down the field all the way from the 10 and force them to move the ball with their limited offense and prevent special teams from being the difference in this game, then maybe you stand a chance. Jacob, back to you.
Thanks so much, Tyson. I don't know how you got from here to here so quickly, but you know, you guys from Mizzou Athletics, all football players have some secret juice.
It's my elite edge.
Tyson's elite edge is moving places very quickly, which does not surprise me for a former linebacker. But One of Tyson's would-be teammates, Beau Pribula, is making a faster than expected return. He was listed this week as doubtful on the injury report. Let's take a look at that injury report right now. You can see right there on the 25th, he was carted off with a non-fractured dislocated ankle against Vanderbilt on a freak 4th and 1 play where his ankle was grabbed. He was throwing backwards. It was unknown if Pribula would even be able to be back for the regular season, and then you jump a couple days in the calendar and you see Pribula listed on the SEC availability report for Mississippi State as doubtful, and that started to raise some eyebrows for fans. He comes to the game, warms up without an ankle brace, and then this week stays as doubtful ahead of Oklahoma. So that's what we have so far on Beau Pribula. Let's talk about what this looks like for the Missouri Tigers. Matt Zoller's most likely to be under center. Eli Drinkwitz talked about it, with Zoller's going forward for potentially the rest of the season and the status of Beau.
Yeah, I think whoever quarterback is taking snaps on Saturday, they're going to be at a bit of a disadvantage. Beau Pribula has not played football in several weeks. He has not played in a game in several weeks. He also doesn't create explosive plays over the air, which is how Oklahoma has gotten beat a lot this season. You look at the Tennessee game, the Alabama game, the Ole Miss game. Those quarterbacks and those receiving cores were able to create explosive plays over the air. Beau Pribula famously has not been able to do that much this season. Matt Zoller's on the other hand, he's still a true freshman. This is going to be a really difficult test, like it was against Vanderbilt and Texas A&M. Oklahoma, as we have talked about ad nauseum, has a really, really good defense that can fluster a guy like Zollers, who just hasn't seen a lot. He's a true freshman. He hasn't played. So I think whether it's Pribula or Zollers, they're going to face a really, really big uphill battle.
I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say Pribula is going to play. I'm not even going to say it's likely that Pribula plays. But if Pribula does play, it'll be really interesting to see how healthy that leg is and how he looks against pressure, because what we saw from Beau Pribula when he was healthy, when he was the starting quarterback, he looked flustered in the pocket when pressure would come. And Oklahoma gets pressure better than anyone he had played against until he got injured. It also, in his big plays, Pribula's big plays, he would use his legs. It was his mobility that was an asset to him. And obviously, we all saw the injury that happened. We know what the recovery process has looked like from our vantage point, at least. Sure as heck is going to be hampered by that leg injury.
I think, you remember Brady Cook when he came back from the Auburn game and he played in the football game, saved the day for the Missouri Tigers. It was a great performance, right? But he definitely paid the cost for that and was still not 100% healthy. I think at this point in the season, with where
Is this insider knowledge, Tyson?
No, this is in fact the opposite of insider knowledge. I think that what you're looking at, if you're the coach right now, is are you putting your team in the best situation to win by putting Beau Pribula out there if he's not healthy? I think Matt Zoller still plays in this game just because of what's at risk for Beau.
Well, there's a lot at risk for us right now because, and you, Tyson, you're back for Take It to the Grave. It's back. You know, we went through the numbers. We have had 11 of these Take It to the Graves now, and I am 1 for 10. So I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm going to start off with Quentin. What's your Take It to the Grave?
I think either Matt Zollers and or John Mateer commits at least one turnover. John Mateer plays football like there's no tomorrow. Matt Zollers, again, is a true freshman. Oklahoma forces a lot of turnovers. I think there's going to be at least one between the two.
It's a real risky pick, picking a turnover between two great defenses. I'm going to go on the same theme of these great defenses, and I'm going to lean towards the under 41.5 points. I just don't think either team's going to score much.
I don't think that's a bad idea at all. I'm going with Matt Zoller's under 30 pass attempts. As I said in Sideline Study Hall, this is not the game where a quarterback's really going to be in rhythm for either side. Zoller's under 30 pass attempts.
I'll tell you my pick, but first you got to watch my punishment.
And it's more spicy stuff. But today it's SEC-style spicy stuff. I am doing a shot of the Mississippi Red hot sauce, which I got down at SEC Media Days in Atlanta. So, cheers.
Oh, not a good decision. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Another week, another punishment. Hopefully that's not the case with this pick right here, because I'm going with my guy, Ahmad Hardy, the workhorse. He gets himself 20 carries, in this football game. That's it for Take It to the Grave. We'll keep our fingers crossed as we step aside to look at this week's SEC matchups. Several of those teams are likely to hire new head coaches next season. The coaching carousel has been out of control this year. Eli Drinkwitz has seen his name thrown around in a couple conversations. He addressed those rumors again in his weekly presser.
You know, I'm not going to comment on message board chatters, tweets, sources. I've maintained with you and our team that my complete focus is on the task at hand. Last week, people were tired of me because I couldn't win the big game. People had me meeting with my team and telling them that I was going to another school, none of which were true. Now this week it's a different story because we scored the second most points in the SEC this year at 49. So, all of this stuff is just a distraction.
So you hear from coaches all the time that they love it in their hometown, that they're building something special, that they don't want to leave or plan on leaving. Drink just said it right there. Do you believe him?
I do think he wants to stay. At the same time, he needs investment in order to build the kind of rosters he wants to build in order to compete for national championships, which is the end goal. He talked at the press conference after that clip about how he wants more Fortune 500 investment into the program. He's asking people, hey, we need more money because that's how we build championship rosters. That's just how college football is nowadays. Buying power is king, and clearly Mizzou is still lagging behind some of their SEC peers in that department.
Ding, 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 ding. I think that was perfectly said, but adding on to that,
do you think that could be setting the table at all, potentially, to walk away and say that there's not enough NIL here?
Yeah, I was going to say 100% on that line. Him calling out those Fortune 500 companies in St. Louis right now, in the state of Missouri in general, that's kind of him saying right now, he's saying, I'm hearing from these other schools right now that they have these investments. If Missouri is able to match that, I would love to stay here and build something here. But if I don't get that investment from the state and I can't invest that money and I can't keep up with these other SEC schools, yeah, I'm going to walk away. I think that's as simple as that.
I know this is tough for you, Tyson. So you can you're a former Missouri player. You're close with Eli Drinkwitz. You can go in as much as you would like, or as little.
I think the only thing we know for sure is that we don't know anything that's happening in that office on the 4th floor. Truth be told, when the Penn State rumor came out that he met with the team and talked about going to Penn State, I asked people in the building, as I have the contacts as the football insider, and they said, what? What are you talking about? Yeah. So as much as the things that go out there, you have to take them all with a grain of salt. Same with anything said at a press conference. The truth is, we're not going to know until it happens, and that's just the nature of college football.
It's the nature of college football. The nature of college football is also the score of the football games. Quentin, what's your prediction?
I'm taking Oklahoma 21, Mizzou 14. I think this game is going to be very similar to the Auburn-Mizzou game from a few weeks ago. It's going to be kind of a chore to watch these teams try and move the ball. I think Oklahoma is going to be too much defensively for Mizzou to handle in the end.
Yeah, similar note. I'm going to take Oklahoma to win this one 24-13. Oklahoma is just a better team, and Missouri, I think, is going to struggle to move the ball regardless of who's at quarterback, whether it's the freshman in Zollers or Prabula coming off an injury. Oklahoma's defense is just too dominant. Wouldn't be shocked if Oklahoma's defense scores some points in this game.
Quentin said this game would be a chore to watch. I think it's going to be great to watch if you love good defense. This is going to be that type of game. I think Mizzou has to play perfect. They can't allow turnovers. They have to create explosives and not settle for field goals. I think they scored 3 touchdowns. I think Oklahoma does great on special teams, kicks 2 field goals, but Missouri plays a perfect game to win 21-20.
Perfect game is what it would need to be. I got Missouri falling 34-21. I think that we've seen Matt Zollers against a good defense, and that was Not good for Missouri's offense. I think they fall. We thank you for watching this episode of the Tiger Kickoff Show. Quentin Corpuel, Zach Sweet, and Tyson Ellison filling in for Chase James. This is Jacob Siciliano saying you can catch us on socials because we'll be down there in Norman. Signing off for the Tiger Kickoff Show.